Hi friends, David here from Above AVL and of course, Learn Stage Lighting. And today we want to talk about spot versus wash versus beam fixtures. Okay, and this isn't just moving lights, but we really want to talk about what are the differences between these types of lights? What kind of functions do you expect out of them? And what in the world is a hybrid, or is it just marketing fluff? All right, so let's dive in. When you're searching for lights, a lot of times people are like, and they come to us at Above AVL, of course, and they're like, hey, I need I need a spot, I need a wash, I need a beam. And the first thing we do is we step back a minute and we say, okay, like, what are you looking to accomplish? What kind of effects do you want to make? What do you want this light to do? Because ultimately, as we've entered the LED age, we've been in the LED age for a number of years. The lines between these different types of lights have blurred, and that's kind of part of why, honestly, about 70% of the fixtures, especially moving fixtures out there, they claim to be hybrids, right? They're like, oh yeah, we're a hybrid, and you should buy us for that reason. And really, it's more nuanced than that. All right. So what I want to do here is talk about three types of lights, talk about the types of features they have, talk about the pros and cons, and how you can choose the right one for your needs. And then, of course, get it from Above AVL because we are your favorite retailer and we would love to help you. First one we're going to look at, let's look at wash first. Okay. So this here in the middle is a Volux Fantra. Okay. Wash units are characterized by basically having a soft edged beam, and more often than not, they have color mixing. Okay, this is whether it's a moving light, whether it's a stationary light that doesn't move. These are the things that really set washes apart. When we're talking about LEDs, most fixtures these days, where you can see the physical LEDs on the lens, are going to be, an RGBW, an RGBL, sometimes a hex, which is RGB, amber, white, and UV typically. But there are also some other variations there. All right. So what they're able to do, which is really helpful, is they're able to just change colors smoothly, right? So if I go and I'm just doing this the lazy way with the console color picker, but if I go and just go to a color, right, every color has a smooth transition, and being LED, okay, when I switch between, I just click random colors on the color wheel, right? I get there instantly because it's electronic. There's nothing mechanical going on. We're able to just switch colors, at the drop of a hat. Other pros are that when it comes to a additive, an RGB type source of any type, okay, those really deep colors are going to be brighter than white sources like the spot and beam we have in front of us, typical spot and beam, where you're subtracting from the output in order to make that light. Okay, and especially deep colors that involve multiple of the LED emitters. When it comes to wash movers, okay, don't discount them and be like, oh, they're just for coloring things. Okay, so wash movers do a couple things really well. The first, as I just kind of mentioned, is that, hey, they wash things, right? So if I'm shining light on a surface, I want to add a bunch of color to that surface. Being able to do so is the wash light's number one strength. Many wash moving lights also have zoom, and zoom allows you to get the light quite wide and really cover a lot of space. I mean, we're just a couple feet from that curtain and we're able to cover a decent bit of it. If we get further away, we can cover even more and more. Okay, wash lights are also great for shining on humans, right? On actually lighting people, either front or back lighting. So the benefit there is that, wash lights are typically the least expensive type of fixture out of wash, spot, and beam. Okay, you get that smooth color transitions and instant if you want it when it's a additive color mixing source. And of course, if you have zoom, that's always nice as well. And wash units tend to have a really wide zoom range. Some of them even calling themselves hybrids. We're going to pull that term out here because they can go super narrow, like this Volux Fantra can, and all the way to really wide. So that is really what's going to set wash fixtures apart. Some wash fixtures, like these Fantras, which in this DMX profile is in a funky spot, have a actual lens rotation, okay, like the clay packy BI was the original that did it, that you're able to actually turn. And let's pop it into actual turning mode and get really cool beam effect, especially when you use either the backlight LEDs or you color the individual LEDs individually. Okay, that is a really sweet effect as well. And so that's where wash units can kind of become wash slash beam hybrids, where either you're putting a lens like this and getting all those individual beams, or pop the lens out, you're just all the way narrow and you have a really tight beam similar to a beam fixture. Is it as intense? Is it as punchy as a true beam fixture? No, but it's going to give you a lot of that look, and the ability to transition colors smoothly is a huge plus. Wash fixtures also, when it comes down to it, the economics of the situation always matter. And if you're going and spending some quantity of money, wash fixtures are going to be the cheapest in terms of fixture type. So if you have, kind of an equal wash, spot, and beam, okay, either the beam or the wash, but often the wash is going to be the least expensive. Okay, so you can get more of them for your dollar, and I would argue they're much more versatile than beams, even if they come in at a similar cost. Okay, next up on the food chain is the spot fixture. All right, so this is the Volux Spectra 300, a fixture we love. We've had this one since like 2023. It is a rock star. And spot fixtures are characterized by a couple things. So they typically have, you can see here, that we have a white source, right? That the light coming out of it is actually white. And so what that means, we're just gonna tip it down just a little so it's a little more visible on camera. All right. So what that means is that, we're starting with white and we're subtracting from it. Okay. When it comes to spot fixtures, the most common things they're going to have are going to be colors, oftentimes not color mixing, though the Spectra 300 from Volux has it, but they will definitely pretty much always have a color wheel. Okay. So color wheels, as you can see, let you change between a fixed set of colors, and sometimes be in the middle of two colors and be half and half. Okay, so you see here we're between a red and a yellow. All right, the plus side of color wheels is they're very fast and they're generally optimized for the best output of the light. However, as you have seen, when you switch between them, right, they are an awkward transition, especially if I go from my last color here to my first color or to white. It's not pretty, right? It's not a smooth transition. It's not something you can do when there's a group on stage in a slow song, maybe in a fast song, but not in a slow song. And if you kind of jump between two colors, if they're next to each other, like here, red, yellow, it's like boom, yellow, cyan, boom, 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 boom. It's like, okay, that looks cool. It's not smooth, but it looks cool. You could chase between them. But if you're going more than two colors apart, you're really going to see some bad stuff. It just doesn't look good, right? So that's one of the big downsides of spot fixtures. However, some, like the Spectra 300, offer CMY color mixing. All right, so that's where this beautiful thing, and by the way, these are all at 50% here in our studio, so I'm just gonna bump this up a little bit. They allow you to fade in cyan, magenta, yellow, individually or together. Again, the downside, as you're probably seeing, is if I go and make a red, for example, it's a subtractive source and it's a subtractive color mixing. So by putting the cyan and the yellow together, I get red, but it's not super bright. It really cuts down the brightness a lot compared to dialing up a red versus a white in an additive fixture. Okay. And in a wash fixture. So that's one of the big differences. And I know we talk about that a lot here, color mixing, so your light colors on your spots look epic. They're the brightest they can be. The deep colors, not as much, whereas the washes are a little more consistent between the two. Yes, the whites are brighter, but the deep colors really are very good. Okay, spot fixtures are also going to have gobos. So gobos are these lovely, lovely patterns that go in lights. And so the gobos allow you to really break up the light in the air. And you can see that here pretty well. I think camera two has it just a little bit better. Okay. So you get that breakup and you get that visual look. And then if we shine it on a surface, what you get is a really nice pattern on that surface. Okay. And so that is a really great way as well to texture up not only people on stage, but backdrops, things like that. And if you see, for example, then if we go, we zoom it up, I don't know if it'll focus that close. It will. We focus it, maybe just soften it a little. We drop in the prism, another great thing that spots often have. Then what we start to get really nice coverage, really wide coverage with a cool pattern that is then able potentially to rotate both the prism and the gobo itself. I'm on the wrong gobo wheel for that though. So we'll switch to something over here. Give it a little rotation in the opposite direction. Brighten it up a little. And we will focus it. And so this is where things can get really great with spot fixtures. They're a lot of times we'll honestly use a wash fixture for spotlighting someone on stage if we're looking to create light on a specific spot. Spots are really nice. Having that hard edge beam allows you to not only get those great looks in the haze, but also on physical surfaces. So on the deck, on the people, on set pieces, and really give you that ability to get some really nice stuff. Okay. And so that's what we like about spot fixtures is texture. They generally do a lot more. They have a lot more different looks they could do. They have a lot more functions inside. They're going to cost more than a wash fixture. And then the downside being they're typically a white source, though not always. And that white source, deeper colors are going to be less bright. Whites are going to be more punchy. So where does that leave us? Beam and then hybrid. So beam fixtures, as we've got over here, this is our Dominar XM that we sell. It's kind of our house brand. These guys, as you can see, their claim to fame, what they're amazing at, hopefully we're not burning the walls of my office, is they have just an absurdly tight beam. And this one's actually at 50%. This is a lamp-based one, so they don't dim well. So absurdly tight, absurdly punchy, bright beam of light. Okay. They generally are as expensive as washes or a little more inexpensive and have just an absurd amount of ability to cut through a rig. As you see, we have three pretty similar brightness fixtures here. And you see the beam just kicks butt in terms of brightness, in terms of punchiness. So beam fixtures, dedicated beam fixtures, whether lamp or LED, but a hard edge beam like this is going to be kind of a one-trick pony. So it's got the output, it's got the really tight beam look. It's going to have a color wheel. You can often do half colors, which look really great, as you can see. Okay. And so color wheel's nice. Again, no smooth color transitions because it's a color wheel. Oftentimes we may have frost, or in this case, a multicolor wheel, which is fantastic. Okay. And then we're going to have gobos. Honestly, they don't do a ton for beam fixtures. They can help a little bit with the prism looks, because then when we go ahead and pop in one or two prisms, you can see, okay, that's where the magic really happens. Taking a prism, maybe popping in a gobo to reduce it, and kaboom. You're filling the space. You've got a ton of brightness. You've got kind of a cool special effects. And of course, just like a spot fixture, we're generally able to rotate said prisms, get something really juicy that really looks awesome. Okay, so again, the major downside of beam fixtures, the upside is cost and capability, right? You get these awesome, cool, punchy beam looks. It can be kind of a cheaper alternative to a spot fixture. If you just are looking to do beam looks, you don't care about smooth transitions, but you want to get the most fixtures for your dollar, then boom, throw it into beams, right? But spots are going to be a lot more capable. And of course, smooth color transitions, smoother dimming, because lamp-based beam fixtures, generally, they just don't dim well. If you watch it here, we'll just pull it down. And I mean, it dims okay, but it kind of jumps to zero at some point. Versus a spot, they can do a lot more. So as we've kind of discussed, and the thing that I said I would cover last is beam fixtures, or hybrid fixtures. A lot of people would consider, for example, here, let's just turn off our spot and wash and look just at our Spectra 300. So a lot of people would consider a fixture like a Spectra 300 to be a hybrid fixture. Okay, and I would definitely agree to an extent. Like there are hybrids that can do one or two things, and there are hybrids that can do a lot of things. And what really sets it apart is the quality, the ability of the light. They create a similar look in terms of beams in the air. And you're going to see, I mean, even at this intensity level of full bright, it might not be 100% clear on camera. The beam fixture definitely outshines the Spectra. You can see it in the tightness, which determines definitely how far it travels. The Spectra is just not quite as tight as a true beam fixture, right? But the ability, the hybridness comes from the fact that it can kind of do multiple things, right? So it makes that beam look, and it does, a pretty okay job as being a beam fixture. Would I buy it if I wanted a dedicated beam fixture to get really tight beams in the air, and also those prism looks? No, I wouldn't buy it if I was just looking for a beam fixture. But the benefit is, of course, and the hybridness is it does the beam thing. We've shown it does the spot thing well. And if we take it and make it nice and zoom and pop in the frost filter that most have and pop in a color, you see, hey, for washing a surface with light, you can see, hey, you know what? For lighting up a surface with a bunch of light, it doesn't do a half bad job. And so that's where the term hybrid comes from. But you definitely want to be careful when you're talking about hybrids or when you're reading what a manufacturer says about a hybrid, and really want to look at how well does it do each function of the light. Does it, for example, the Spectra 300, it does the beam okay, it does the spot well, and it does the wash pretty well. Okay. And when it comes to hybrids, that's generally what you're going to find. They tend to get overhyped by manufacturers as this is the one thing that's going to solve all your problems. It's amazing. It's a beam, it's a wash, it's a spot. And at the end of the day, they're going to be better at one of them typically. The other two are going to be lesser so. And so you don't want to, and this is something that I see folks that don't have a lot of experience do, you don't want to take, say, these Spectra 300s and put it on an event where you really needed a wash fixture. Because while it can do that function, that's not going to be its best bet. And getting a dedicated wash fixture would be better. Now, in a space where you want to do multi-purpose type stuff, you have a lot of different types of groups coming in. One day it's lighting a curtain, but most days it's backlighting through the haze. Then, hey, hybrid is going to be your best bet, or a spot that kind of has a really good wash and or beam is going to set you up and make you happy. Thank you so much for watching. If you gained a lot out of this, we appreciate you. And we want to send you over to articles.aboveavl.com. We'll have a link down below where we want to throw into your hands a free guide, help you understand the four things that people really mess up when they're buying lighting, audio, or video equipment. Okay, this is stuff that we see people make mistakes all the time. They waste their money, they waste their time, and it's yours totally free. We just got to enter your email, and then we'll send you some info. We'll send you that guide, get it into your inbox, and you end up on our newsletter getting to hear about all the awesome new stuff we're doing here at Above AVL. So head over to that site, articles.aboveavl.com. We should totally make that a better web address. But for now, thank you so much for watching. If you're not subscribed here, be sure to. And if you learned something new today, thank you so much. We do appreciate you here, and I hope you just have an awesome day. We'll see you soon. Thanks.